Hello, everybody. So, just to give a quick introduction, just before I get started, Ahmed, am I audible properly? Or Muhammad, if you could just let me know if you can hear me and if you can see my screen that I'm currently sharing. All right, perfect. Sounds good. All right, thank you so much. So, everybody, I'll just give a quick round of introduction. So, my name is Anik Hakim, and I'm part of the sales engineering team at Alteryx. I'm sure you would have seen the Alteryx presentation that my colleague Vishal had done in the morning as part of the main stage itself. So, this session is primarily to just take it a step forward and go ahead and demonstrate the solution, right? So, in the morning, you saw a couple of slides. So, just to put that whatever you learn probably into action so that you can probably join these two dots together, I'll be going ahead and giving you an end-to-end demonstration of the solution itself. So just before we get into the demonstration, I probably just wanted to introduce you into the concept itself, just to reiterate the fact on what we do, just take you through the suite of products that we have and the capabilities that resides in each one of them, and then we'll jump right into the demonstration of the solution. So just to get started, what Alteryx does is provides an end-to-end analytics automation platform, right? And what we do is our platform provides a unified end-to-end analytics experience, and it enables everyone to easily create transformative business outcomes, right? And another main advantage that I would speak about is it serves all the personas who need to collaborate, for example, to just turn data into insights, right? From data engineers to business users to analysts to IT, anybody who needs to collect, manage, and curate data for use across the business, this is where the Alteryx Analytics platform comes in. And what we do is we pretty much go ahead and take this data and we convert it into insights, right? And we enable organizations to be data-driven organizations. And one thing that you can see is no matter where your data resides, right? I was just part of the Snowflake session that we just did. So if it resides in a Snowflake data warehouse, we can automatically connect to it. Even if it's a normal SQL database, an Oracle, if it resides within applications, if it's Excel files that we work with on a day-to-day basis, we can pretty much go ahead and collect data from any of these various different sources. So we've got 80 plus connectors available out of the box. And once it's done, whatever we need to do with the data, be it transforming the data itself, do the specific data preparation, blending, enrich the data, taking it a step forward in terms of doing like advanced analytics, be it reporting, be it geospatial, or if you want to go ahead and apply data science, apply machine learning, do certain kind of predictions or forecasting, all of that can be done with the Alteryx Analytics platform. And lastly, if you want to go ahead and automatically generate insights from it, or for example, if you're using a visualization tool currently within your organization, you could do that. Or if you want to go ahead and prepare a ready-made PDF report and send it out by email, that's possible as well. Or else you want to just probably put it back into the data warehouse itself. That's also possible with the platform. So we pretty much provide an end-to-end analytical experience where, of course, you have the technologies that you have within the organization today. So what Alteryx does is it sits on top of those. So it works with your existing architectural landscape of your data itself, and it goes ahead and gives you insights based on your current landscape. So if I just go ahead and give you a quick introduction on the products that we have. So Alteryx has a complete suite of products, right? From cloud products to on-premise as well. So probably a lot of you might be already aware of it with our flagship on-premise products, be it Alteryx Designer or Alteryx Server, but we also have a complete full-fledged analytical cloud solution. So what you'll see is with our solution, we support quickly and easily generating insights, generating predictions, and the main thing is it's completely code-free, right? Automated machine learning, or be it whatever you want to do. And if you want to know a quick introduction into each one of these, what I can tell you is I'll be pretty much demonstrating a lot of these products today as part of today's demonstration. But to start with, we've got the Designer Cloud powered by Trifactor, right? So I'll start with the cloud products and then we'll describe the on-premise products as well before we go into the demonstration. So with Alteryx Designer Cloud powered by Trifactor, we can go ahead and get your data, source your data from a variety of different siloed data sources. We can go ahead and transform it, load it into your data warehouse of your choice, right? Be it Snowflake or whatever you're deciding to use. And we can pretty much go ahead and give you those trusted data pipelining from an end-to-end perspective. So Designer Cloud powered by Trifactor pretty much goes ahead, takes data from your cloud data sources, uses cloud native functionality in order to go ahead and transform it and load it, and then we can go ahead and put it into your desired data source of your choice. Once that's done, we can pretty much use our machine learning in order to go ahead and give you accurate and approachable data science. And the main advantage of our machine learning models are it's very easy to go ahead and build it, right? So it's extremely gives you a completely guided interface to go ahead and build the machine learning models. That's something that I'm going to be showcasing in today's session as well. And lastly, we've got the Alteryx Auto Insights, which pretty much accelerates speed to insight for everyone across your business. So it gives you an automated data storytelling for business users and creates breakthroughs, right, within minutes itself. It gives you the analysis that it needs with the data that you have. So instead of you going ahead and manually creating dashboards in order to generate insights from it, Alteryx Auto Insights gives you that within minutes itself without you doing any work at all. And lastly, of course, for our flagship on-premise Alteryx Designer desktop, it gives you that complete visual interface for you to go ahead and prepare your data, blend it, apply your spatial analytics, apply machine learning, and it gives you that drag and drop capabilities, which allows you to be capable for self-service analytics, right? So that's what we enable business users to go ahead and build your own analytics, access to the data itself. Because currently we see it generally if somebody needs certain kind of data, they go out to IT and request for the data itself. But with Alteryx, we pretty much go ahead and enable your business users to go ahead and do self-service analytics. And that's exactly why our platform is extremely easy to use and you don't need any coding at all. And lastly, to go ahead and scale up and share your automation, the ones that you go ahead and build your analytic processes. So that's where the Alteryx server comes in, which is a complete web interface, which allows you to go ahead and publish the workflows that you go create out of Alteryx Designer and go ahead and share it, schedule it, and completely automate the outcomes that you get, right? And of course, from out of the platform itself, we've got a complete built-in data connectors, we've got API connectivity, we've got collaboration controls, governance, and intelligent AI-driven capabilities, right? So all of that comes out of the box itself. So before we go into the demonstration of it, does anybody have any questions? All right, perfect. Yes, please. Any questions or shall we move ahead? All right, perfect. So the first thing that I want to speak about is actually going ahead and what I spoke about, which is a Designer Cloud powered by Trifactor, which is a completely cloud native solution, right? You can go ahead and deploy it on your virtual private cloud as well. That's completely supported if you have the data residency or the data privacy issues within the organizations. So what Designer Cloud powered by Trifactor does is we can pretty much go ahead and connect to any data source, right? It can be, if you want to go ahead and look at the list of various different connectors we have available out of the box, you can see over 145 different connectors, be it Snowflake, be it Oracle, various different CRM applications that we go ahead and support, databases, file APIs, marketing applications. So you can pretty much go ahead and connect to any specific data source of your choice. You go ahead and connect to the data, and once that's done, this is where we can go ahead and transform the data, right? And this is where we get a complete data profiling view that you get. So just by ingesting the data itself, I've gone ahead and it gives you each of the columns that you can see, it automatically gives you AI suggestions as well. So if I go and select on unit price today, it automatically gives me suggestions as to what I probably need to do. Do I need to go ahead and delete rows? Do I need to rename it? Do I need to do certain kind of calculations? All of that, it automatically goes ahead and suggests to you based on your specific request that you have. And if you want to take it a step further, if you want to go ahead and build in certain kind of rules, like for example, you want to create a new column, for example, between two different dates, that's something that you can go ahead and do. You want to go ahead and sort a specific row, that you can go ahead and do. And it's very easy, right? You can see it's something like similar to an Excel, the way we've gone ahead and done it. If you want to filter it out rows on a specific column, it gives you a complete, like very self-intuitive interface. If I need to go ahead and sort it by unit price, I go ahead and choose a specific way and it automatically sorts and create the rules entirely. So this is a platform which is built for going ahead and automating your complete pipelining, where you can go ahead, visualize your data, profile it, understand it, do the necessary transformations that's required, And once it's done, we can go ahead and completely automate it as well. So this is a piece where we're doing a supply chain sort of a use case where we're going ahead, getting the information for a warehouse or the transactions, going ahead, doing the cleaning of the data, preparing of the data, going ahead and transforming it in a certain way for us to go ahead and do further analysis on it, and we can completely go ahead and automate it, right? So we can go ahead and run these various different flows that I've just gone ahead and shown. And based on the success or failure, I can go ahead and do various different actions and create a complete workflow around it. And this can be completely scheduled as well, where if you want to go ahead and schedule it on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly, or you want to go ahead and set a custom chronology, that's something that you can go ahead and do as well. So this is the first aspect that I wanted to go ahead and showcase. We're going ahead, sourcing your data, automating your complete data pipelining, and do the request specific ETL or the ELT aspect of it, right? Where we're going ahead, extracting the data, loading it, and then transforming it. Now, once we've gone ahead and pretty much gone ahead and transformed the warehouse order transactions to our desired specific format, this is where we can come into Alteryx Designer. And this is our flagship desktop product where we can pretty much go ahead and connect to various different data sources and do the specific transformation that's required, right? So if you can see it's completely various different building blocks that's available out of the box. If you want to connect to data, you can go ahead and drag and drop an input data button. You want to go ahead and clean up your data, you just drag and drop a data cleansing tool. Apply formulas, you can drag and drop the formula tool. Join two different data sets, you use a join, and so on and so forth, right? You can go ahead and transform your data. You can go ahead and do spatial analytics if it's required, if you want to do analysis on various different maps, for example, or if you want to go ahead and apply machine learning, that's something that you can do as well. Now, taking it a step further, for example, we spoke about it and showed it to you from the Designer Cloud platform as well. The same thing with the Designer Desktop, you can see various different file types which are supported and the various different data sources as well, right? From Snowflake to a Redshift to an SQL to an Azure, pretty much everything is supported out of the box itself. Now, once we go ahead and connect to this, now if you want to go ahead and understand the data that we've got a list of transactions which has happened at the warehouse, right? From the warehouse sales data that we've got from the POS system. And then, of course, we've got the geospatial data for these various warehouses that we have. And from the designer itself, we can go ahead and see a complete map view, a map analysis. We can go ahead and generate a heat map. All of that can be done completely out of the box by utilizing the spatial tools as well. Now, once we go ahead and prepare the data, we can go ahead and join these to various different data sets just by choosing, just like how we do a VLOOKUP with an Excel, just choose these two data sets, connect it to the join command that we have out of the box. And once we go ahead and join the data from these two different data sources, we can go ahead and do certain calculations, right? In this case, we're calculating a sales, which is nothing but unit price into quantity. That's the new column that we've created. And something that you can see is you have complete auditability and traceability throughout the entire process, right? So you can see at each stage, okay, this is the data coming in from transactions. This is the data which is coming out, which is joined in nature. This is the data which is before the formula is applied. This is the data after the formula is applied. You can see the new column sales which has come in. So it pretty much goes ahead and gives you complete auditability and traceability to do whatever transformation that you need. And as you can see, it's completely business user friendly. So pretty much anybody with a couple of days of training or utilizing Alteryx can easily get to know what is possible within this tool itself. And to take it one step further, for this particular supply chain analysis, one thing that we needed to go ahead and do is we could see that, some of these warehouses are holding or keeping on or holding on to stocks because of which some other warehouses were not getting this required information from it. This is where we can go ahead and apply machine learning algorithms to it in order to predict whether an organization or a warehouse is going ahead and hoarding a certain specific material or not. And it's as simple as that, right? We have a complete guided experience in order to go ahead and build these machine learning models. So all you can do is drag and drop an assisted modeling tool, and we can just start this step, right? So it takes you through a guided approach in order to go ahead and build your machine learning models. So what you start off with first is, what do you want to predict? I want to go ahead and predict whether somebody is hoarding a specific item or not, if it's a yes or no. So that's what I go ahead and choose. And it just takes you through a complete guided approach. So the first thing is it automatically goes ahead and sets the data type for you. if you are a business user and you're not aware of what different data types are, it gives you a complete glossary on what an ID is, what is categorical, what is numeric, what is Boolean. All of this, it automatically gives you out of the box itself. And it gives you suggestions based on it and automatically gives you a recommended approach. But now, if you want to take your own decision and override these decisions, of course, you can go ahead and do that as well. Now, once you go ahead and set the data types, if there's any missing values, it automatically gives you a suggestion to go ahead and drop the feature or replace it with the mean of the value. Because, for example, if we're going ahead and predicting sales and I see a lot of the sales values are not available in my current data set, I need to pretty much go ahead and do something, right? Or it might affect the accuracy of my machine learning model. This is where we have different options to go ahead and take care of if the data set has missing values. Now, once we go ahead and do that, now this is the option where based on our business knowledge, we can go ahead and take a decision to say that what are the features through which I can go ahead and predict if somebody is going ahead and hoarding it, and how can we go ahead and predict it. And it automatically gives you a suggestion that, you know what, warehouse ID probably is not a good feature for you to go ahead and select, and maybe zip code isn't as well. So we can go ahead and see these various different predictors. I'll say that, you know what, order ID is probably not good as well. I don't think it makes a difference whether the order ID is available or not. So this is where your business knowledge comes in. You can choose what features are required in order for you to go ahead and make a prediction. Now, once you go ahead and do that, all you need to do is go ahead and click on next. It automatically gives you a suggestion on various different machine learning algorithms. What use cases can it be used for? What are the pros and cons for each one of these? So in this case, I'll say that, you know what, I probably want to go ahead and analyze all of them. So all you need to do is just click on run selected algorithms, and it automatically gives you a suggestion that, you know what, out of all of these 4 different machine learning algorithms that we ran, XGBoost is giving you the best results. This is the accuracy that it's giving you. So you should probably go ahead for it. And what are the decisions through by which, or what are the features by which we went ahead and selected XGBoost? It gives you a complete interpretation that based on quantity, based on order priority, based on the SLA and ship mode is how we came ahead and chose XGBoost as the perfect machine learning model. And all you need to do is go ahead and select XGBoost and click on add models and continue to workflow, and automatically all of this is generated, right? So it gives you a complete guided experience to go ahead and do machine learning. So you don't need to be a proper data scientist. Even business users can go ahead and predict, create their own machine learning models in order to predict various different metrics. And once we go ahead and create the machine learning model, we can go ahead and test. For example, this is a list of new order IDs that I've got. Now, based on this, I want to do a specific prediction whether these materials are being hoarded or not. And we can get a complete output, which gives me a complete reference whether for each of these products, running the machine learning algorithm, which are being hoarded and which are not being hoarded. And based on this, I can go ahead and take data-driven decisions. So this is how we can go ahead and utilize Alteryx in order to go ahead, do a complete end-to-end analytics, right? From the sourcing of the data to preparing, blending, applying advanced analytics, and then going ahead and doing the predictions and giving the outcome to the business itself. So once you go ahead and build out this workflow, this is where you want to go ahead and give the access to this workflow to multiple different business users, right? You probably want various different people to be able to upload files, for example, of new order IDs, or probably help them choose certain parameters to run it. So this is what is possible by utilizing the Alteryx server. So with the Alteryx server, it gives you a complete web interface where you don't need to go ahead and install anything on your machine. You can go ahead and segregate your various different workflows that you've built based on the business functions that various different users belong to. So finance users can only see finance workflows, HR users can see only HR workflows. In this case, we're doing a supply chain analysis, so they can only see the supply chain workflows, right? So now if I need to go ahead and run a specific workflow, all I can do is just open up a specific workflow. If I want, I can go ahead and schedule this. So just to automate that data pipelining process, to go ahead and take the data at source and generate the automated insights from it. Or I can just choose to go ahead and run it directly from here itself. So in this case, if I need to go ahead and run it, I've been signed out. So I'll just go ahead and quickly sign into my specific designer. I'll just go ahead and click on run, and it's as simple as that, right? If I need to go ahead and give certain parameters during my run, I can go ahead and do that. I can go ahead and do that as well. So that's a capability that's available. And once this workflow, you see, it takes probably around 5 seconds for it to run. And as soon as it's completed, we can go ahead and open up the results, and we can see, in this case, a PDF has been generated. So I can probably go ahead and download it just to see the sort of insight that's been generated. So I can see a complete heat map based on the distribution centers, and I can see the various different warehouses and the total sales that has been generated for it. So you can go ahead, give the outcomes through PDF files, or you can visualize it directly here. You can give an Excel file, you can generate a PowerPoint, a Word document, whatever, right, based on your business processes, we can completely customize the solution. Or we could as well go ahead and say that, you know what, at the end of the workflow, we want to send an automated email to the senior stakeholders for them to go ahead and have a look at it. That's something that's possible as well. So this is how we go ahead, the workflow that you saw, which we go ahead and build on the Alteryx Designer, where we go ahead and publish it onto the Alteryx server in order to go ahead and probably schedule it, or you want to run it, or you want to download and collaborate with various different users. So if somebody else from the supply chain team comes, sees that, okay, such a workflow has been developed, they want to go ahead and make their own tweaks to it, change the workflow around a little bit, apply their own logic to it, they can go ahead and download it. And all of this can be controlled by role-based access control, so that only the people with the right access can go ahead and do these various different functions. And lastly, once all of this information is done, what we're doing is, once we prepare the data, we're pushing the data into Auto Insights, the platform that I spoke to you about, which is an automated data storytelling platform, which automatically generates insight for you without you doing any configuration whatsoever. So this is where you can go ahead and see the Auto Insights. All I've done is taken the data, prepared it within the designer, and gone ahead and pushed it onto Auto Insights. And here it automatically generates all this insights for you, right? So you can see the various different measures, for example, days late per transaction, the shipping cost, the sales. I can see various different analysis that is automatically done. Now, one issue that I see here is, you know what, for my supply chain, I see days late per transaction has increased to 4.72, and it's increased by over 9.67% from the previous month. So I want to see what has actually changed. So I can see a complete trend analysis on how my data has been transformed for a period of time. I can change this date period as well. If you want to compare it versus previous year, that's something that you can do. But in this case, I want to go ahead and analyze it via previous month. Now we can see this has happened. Now what caused this? So I can see exactly what caused this. I can see, for example, a delivery truck. This is the change that has happened. From a warehouse perspective, I can see, for example, this Aurora warehouse has contributed over 0.33% to the specific amount, right, that we've gone ahead and increased. And now if I want to even drill down further into the warehouses aspect of it, I can see a complete drill down in terms of what were the key changes that occurred, what was the biggest changes, what were the outliers in terms of what contributed to this days late being changed. All of this can completely be done. You can see the most impact, the large increases, the largest decreases. So all of this, and whatever information that's required for you in order to go ahead and understand why your data is pretty much going ahead and transforming, that's something that you can do automatically by looking at this. You can see the outliers of your data. So it gives you a complete automated generated insights in order for you to go ahead and understand what's happening within your business. So probably you want to understand what revenue has changed and why did the revenue change over the last year or the last month, or compare it to your last quarter, for example. All of that will be automatically generated for you by the Auto Insights platform. And lastly, we can also automatically generate a summary for you. For example, for your supply chain analysis, these are the three measures, right? For example, from your days late per transaction, what actually caused this? The shipping cost, what actually went ahead and caused the change for this specific aspect? Or your sales, what actually compared, or what caused for your sales to increase or decrease during this period? All of that, you can get a complete insight on this, and you can probably go ahead and say that, you know what, I want this email to be sent to the various different users on a daily basis at 2 p.m. so that they can see how your information is changing over a period of time. And this can be completely automated, and you can see it come into your email inbox on a day-to-day basis. So if you see here my specific email inbox, which I'm showing on my screen, it gives me an email every day which says that, you know what, for this specific supply chain insights, this is how it's comparing over a period of time. This is how the shipping cost is changing. So this insights can be automatically delivered to your email as well on the frequency of your choice. So any questions on anything that we've seen until now? from anybody in terms of the demonstration from your designer cloud, where we can go ahead and yes, please. Yeah. Yeah. All right, perfect. So I'll just finish off with probably you've seen a couple of use cases, like a couple of the demonstration of it. So you can pretty much go ahead and apply it into any department, right? Alteryx as a solution is completely function agnostic. So you can apply it for your HR department, for your employee retention, from your finance, for your tax or your audit or compliance or reconciliation, for your sales, for example, you want to forecast sales or analyze the churning of your customers, to your operations, to supply chain. We saw it already. One of the from demand forecasting to inventory optimization, a lot of use cases that you can go ahead and automate. So to just finish it off, pretty much enterprises can use the entire Alteryx platform, right, to cover the entire analytics lifecycle from your data access, from your ELT, from prep and blend, data enrichment, geospatial analytics. So the vision with our Alteryx portfolio is to actually offer you one unified platform, unified for the cloud, unified for your big and small data, unified insights, and unified for users across the entire enterprise. So this is the Alteryx analytics platform, right? And this is where we come with our messaging, which is it is truly analytics for all. So thank you so much, everybody. And if you're interested in Alteryx, you can pretty much go ahead and download a 30-day free trial. So on Alteryx.com, you can just go ahead and search for designer trial, and you have a 30-day free trial to just try out the solution, see where it works. And if you have any challenges while implementing it or seeing which area we can go ahead and utilize it in, we're always here to help you. So thank you, everybody, so much for your time. Anytime, no worries at all. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the session.
Can you hear? Yes, give me 1 sec. All right, so we are going to open our cameras and share our screens now, and I want to inform you that I'm not alone. We have Omar as well on the call. Let's see.
Hello, everyone.
Where is my camera? Hi, how are you?
Thank you for having us. And let me just get
Hi.
out of the sun. Hang on a second.
All right.
Okay.
Ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen of the
Sorry for
audience, we're very happy to be with you on the event today. Of course, we would have loved to be there in person, but that's the beauty of Zoom. We can join from anywhere, anytime. And good thing is, we're both Arabic speakers. If you'd like for us to also conduct conversations in Arabic, we would be more than happy to do that because we actually miss speaking in Arabic and presenting in Arabic. And let me introduce both of us. I'm Frederic Khouri. With us as well is Omar Fathallah. And we're both sales engineers with Snowflake. We love this mix of technical conversations, business conversations, seeing what we can do with the data and so on. And we have prepared for you today a demo on what Snowflake can do. And this is a high level thing. We're going to show you a few things that you can do, and it goes way beyond this. So I'll leave the mic with Omar so he can also introduce himself, and we'll kick it from there. We're both with you today on this demo.
Thank you, Frederic. So again, my name is Omar. I am the partner pre-sales engineer. I work closely with our partners in the region to help them get enabled on everything Snowflake. I'm very happy to also participate in this event to present and demonstrate what we do with Snowflake. I'm assuming you've already had a bit of an introduction to what Snowflake is. So without further ado, we'll jump into the demo to give you a good idea of how we do what we do. So this is the main GUI to begin with. I'll start off with the left column to highlight the different functions and features that we have available to you. First off, we have who your logged in is. So as you can imagine, we can switch security roles depending on what you want to do. We can get very granular in terms of the role and capabilities and the permissions that you have available to you. We'll get into some details of that later on. We have a worksheet section, and here you see I have a bunch of worksheets, and this is kind of where we run our commands and our queries, mostly in SQL, but if you prefer Python or Java or Scala, that's all possible in terms of connecting with the platform itself. We're going to be focusing on the SQL method. A little bit more about, again, what's available to you before we get into operating, let's say, the queries and the warehouses. So we do have a dashboard section. It's empty for now, but basically you can save views. You can save your queries as views, and you can view them as dashboards here. Databases, set up private sharing. I'm going to go ahead right now and actually create a database while I'm at it. So just to show you how easy it is, a lot of things can be done via the GUI. Some things can be done via script. In this case, I'm going to be showing you both examples essentially. So in this case, I just created a excuse me, a database called Citabike1, and you'll see that we'll have the full structure available to us to play around with, to view, to reorganize as you see fit. So you've got there's no tables at this point. This is where you see your views, any stages for the import of information. We'll see an example of that. All of that is going to be here.
The beauty of this,
next, we have a section. Yes, please go ahead.
Oh. The beauty of this, by the way, everyone, when you want to work with Snowflake, you basically log into the Snow site and it's software as a service. So you sign up for Snowflake, you get access to this right away. So what Omar is showing you, this is what you get right away, right after signing. You open Snowflake, app.snowflake.com, you have access to your worksheet, you have access to the data part. Everything Omar is going to show you now is what you do right away.
Exactly. And everything I'm showing you, you can actually sign up for a trial. If you go to snowflake.com/trial, you get a 30-day trial so you can actually play around yourself. So next we have a marketplace. This is a big aspect of what we do for our customers, of what makes up the data cloud, and that's the data sharing aspect. Whether you want to ingest data and or subscribe to data sets that others have made available, we'll see also an example of this throughout the demo, or whether you want to share your own data, make it available to others, whether they're Snowflake customers or not, that's all possible. Next, we have the activity section. So we'll get to also play around with this, but you get to see all previous queries. So every action that you do within the system is audited. So you have full knowledge of who's done what with what. And again, we'll see examples, and we can delve deeper into the performance of the query to kind of dig around and see if there's anything that can be improved. So we'll also look at examples of that. Last, we have the admin tab, and this is where we get to see the usage. So if you want to look at billing, if you want to see how much the warehouses or the platform itself has been utilized, we can set up resource monitors. So if you want to set up quotas in terms of usage or take actions when a certain percentage of the quota has been taken, you can manage that from here, from the resource monitors. Users and roles, as you can imagine, to manage the roles and everything, and get granular with the permissions and all of that. So with that, let's jump into the actual activity of why we're here, why we want to use, or how we can utilize the platform itself. So you'll see I have a bunch of suspended warehouses. When a warehouse is not running, you're not being charged anything. And this is a big concept in terms of the pay-as-you-go or pay-as-you-consume, if you will, concept. So I'm going to create a warehouse right now so I can start running queries in it, right? And I'm going to call this, for example, compute warehouse. We like t-shirt sizes, so it could be a extra small, small, medium, large, and so on and so forth. What that changes is how many credits per hour you're going to be consuming. Now, it's important to realize that we only charge on a per second basis after the first minute. So first minute is charged, but then we're only charging on a per second basis. So if you're not using the system, if it's suspended, you're not being charged anything at the compute level anymore. And what you'll notice that we're doubling here the credits. That's literally because we're doubling the amount of compute and the amount of servers in that cluster. So an extra small is going to be one server, for example. A small is going to be 2 servers, a medium is going to be 4 servers. So you can increase the compute and scale up as you need, when you need it. And we're going to see an example of that while we're running some of the queries, that instant scalability. So if I wanted that extra performance level because I'm running a bigger query, we can easily and immediately scale up to that as per need. So I'm going to start with a small for now, for example. A couple of options that we can enable at this point. So query acceleration, this is great for certain outliers. Sometimes you have outlier queries that maybe need additional resources. So, maybe most of your queries are running and they take a normal amount of time, but then an anomaly comes in and you want to be able to cater to that. So we have query acceleration for that. Excuse me. We have the concept of a multi-cluster warehouse. So this is great for concurrency, for load balancing. If you're expecting a large bunch of queries to come in, so, sometimes it's not a question of extra compute. So the computing power here is related to, let's say, the query type and if it requires a lot of computing power. But not every problem is like that. I like to use the example of, if you're at the airport queue, you're at passport control, you have one person, he's stamping your passports, right? Simply replacing that person with a more muscular person or a bigger person isn't going to solve the problem of the queue, right? What you need to be able to do is add more passport control officers as needed, and then when the queue drops, you need to be able to drop those officers, and so that you're not paying for more than you need. And that's literally what we're doing here. So we're setting up a minimum and maximum size for those clusters so that we can scale up and scale down, or basically add more load as necessary to deal with that query, let's say concurrency, if you will, more adaptively. A couple of more options to finalize before we get to the worksheet is auto resume and auto suspend. So these are great options. First off, auto suspend. So if I'm running queries all day long, or in the morning, I step out for breakfast or for lunch, I don't want that warehouse to continue running and consuming credits and basically paying. So you can set up the timeout periods, but in this case, after 10 minutes, it's going to suspend and you're not paying for anything. At the same time, we can auto resume. So as soon as a query comes in, I don't have to worry about starting up the warehouse. I don't have to worry about its state. As soon as a new query comes in, we're going to resume that warehouse and you basically continue operating as you go. So with that, I'm going to create this particular warehouse. Anything you want to add, Frederick, before we get into the worksheets?
I'm pretty impressed with how creating a warehouse is fast. If the audience noticed, this gives us the ability to actually create and delete warehouses as we see fit. You don't have to go and worry about a purchase order, waiting for some hardware to come in, or waiting for the provisioning of a bunch of resources in half an hour to an hour. You need the warehouse. Again, as we like pitching at Snowflake, it just works. You create the warehouse right away, you're able to use it right away, you're done with it, you can delete it, and just leave it turned off. It doesn't cost anything when it's turned off. So that's something that that adds a degree of efficiency and flexibility, which I think things that we love to show at Snowflake.
Yeah, thanks. And we're going to get more into that extra scalability and extra ease of use that comes with Snowflake. As you said, it just works, and this is really what I love about this platform. So here we are in a worksheet. I've got a bunch of scripts or queries to run to kind of highlight different things. So we're going to look at, again, I wasn't inside this event here, so I'm not sure what learned or heard Snowflake in terms of feature sets, but a couple of cool features that I'd like to showcase are time travel, zero copy cloning, and a bunch of other stuff. So we'll get into all that. So with that, here I have this worksheet, like I said. We've got our databases listed. Like you see, we have this CityBike1 database that I just created. There's no tables, there's nothing in it whatsoever. So first off, what we do is we set up the context. So I'm logged in right now as a sysadmin role over here, but you see, I don't have a virtual warehouse allocated to me. So I'm gonna highlight, okay, I wanna use this warehouse, and we can see now I'm allocated this particular computing cluster to work within. Remember, it was a small size, and then we don't have a database selected. So I'm gonna highlight, okay, I wanna use this particular database with this particular schema. So now I've set up the context of this workspace and what I'm gonna be working around. First thing we're going to do, we're going to create a table with a bunch of stuff. So the reason I call this database CityBike is we're going to be looking at, if you're familiar with the bike rental type of companies, we're going to be looking at a data set that's related to the rental of these bikes, the duration of these trips, the beginning, start, and the beginning and the end of these trips, where they ended. So this is going to help drive the conversation. So with that, you see, I just created that trips table, and over here, lo and behold, we have all the information available to us in terms of what we created. So next thing, we're going to create a stage. So I want to start loading in information. So you might have your data sets hosted elsewhere. Wherever it is, we're able to import it. In this case, we're importing it into a stage called CityBike Trips. We're getting it from an S3 bucket. If there's credentials or secret keys, of course, we can cater to those. Let's have a look at what we just loaded. So in this case, it's just a bunch of files, right? You see over here, it's a bunch of compressed CSVs. We've got about 376 rows, so that's 375 or 376 rows of files to import. Next, I'm just going to create a format, a CSV format. We can ingest different types of files, whether it's comment limited, as in this case, whether it's JSON, Avro, Parquet. So we support structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. Just to look at what we just created. So I just created a file format, so we understand what we're importing. Like I said, it's a CSV. We've defined what are the limiters. Now we're going to start loading the data. In this case, it's already a small. I'm not going to have to do this. We're going to copy in the data itself. Now, this is where the beauty of scalability and performance is going to come in. You'll notice that, yes, we're loading a bunch of files. It's about 370 files. It's going to take a fair amount of time. Because I'm using a small warehouse, that's a fairly limited amount of compute. We're going to repeat this exercise, but doing it with a large, and you're going to see how much and on the immediate, and you're going to see how much performance we get improved in this case. Remember, we're paying on a per second basis here, right? So if I'm able to do a query faster, even if it's costing a bit more because I'm using a larger computing cluster, if I'm able to do it faster, it actually ends up pretty much being the same cost because I'm doing it in a much shorter amount of time. And that saves me time to do more productive things, right?
And you know another thing, Omar?
So should
the audience doesn't know how many rows we loaded here. That's 60 million that we loaded in 34 seconds. So 60 million rows in 34 seconds. Mm-hmm. Come on. You want to show them what the large
That's amazing. Who will show to them? So what did we just import? Let's have a look. This is it. So we're limiting it at 10 for now, but yes, so this is the information that we just imported. As you can see, it's very well structured. This GUI is very nice to play around with. If I wanted to filter out, okay, just show me trip durations from a particular point to a particular point, easily filters out everything else. So I'm just looking at these particular rows. So filters galore, charts galore, everything. You can actually play around over here via the GUI if you want to set up filters or set up different types of things. Just to have a better idea, again, if we go back to the query history, remember we looked at, let's make sure it's refreshed. So this is what I just ran right now, right? For every query that we run, we actually create a query profile. And this is a very cool thing. It helps us understand, especially with a more complicated query, where most of the resources are being utilized for the generation of the results. And if something's taking a bit of a long time, we can understand from that, try to understand again where it's taking more time so that we can be more optimized and efficient about it. Here's a cool thing to also look at, and this is what we call pruning. So the total partitions for this select segment would have been 80. But because we did a bit of a limitation, because we're doing active pruning on the side, we realized that from those 80 partitions, only 16 were necessary to find the results. So that's just to highlight, again, how we're able to improve upon performance of any traditional query that's given in. Frederick, you want to add something more here?
No, concerning
about the coolness of the query profile.
Yeah, when it comes to the query plan that you find in the query profile, the more complicated the query, the more details that we're going to see, of course, because this was a simple select statement, so it's barely a table scan. You're going to notice that here in the table scan, actually in statistics, you'll see that we have 16 partitions scanned out of 80 partitions. That's one of the optimization techniques we have at Snowflake when it comes to storing the data. Of course, these are part of a deeper technical dive that we can go into, but that's something that I wanted to highlight. So from the query plan, you can go and get as many details about the query as you want.
Exactly. So now I'm going to repeat that query. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to truncate that table. And just to make sure that it's truncated, you see, we have nothing over here, right? Now I'm going to set that warehouse to a Excel large. I can do it from the GUI. I can go back to warehouses. We can do it from the GUI. But the cool thing is a lot of things that we can do is also can be done by script. So in this case, I'm just going to set it as an Excel large, right? Excuse me. Water. Yeah. And then we're just going to have a look at the size. So it's just waiting for completion. It's just provisioning. The provisioning usually takes just a few seconds. And in this case, we see that computing warehouse is set to a extra large. Now we're going to copy the trips into there. And if you remember last time, it took what, more than 30 seconds, 34 seconds, was it?
Yep.
Okay. And in this case, it just took us about a third of the time, only 12 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from an immediate scale up command. We didn't have to wait for anything. You don't, and the cool thing is here is that right now it's just me working on this database, working on this particular table, right? Imagine concurrently other people working on that table at the same time, and we're not going to affect each other in terms of performance. Okay, if I'm running other queries, I don't have to stop any queries to be able to upsize this warehouse to be able to run at a higher computing power. So your existing queries, they keep going. There's no downtime. I don't have to bring down the database. I don't have to bring down the virtual warehouse. I don't have to do anything. It's immediate. I just change the size, run the new query. I take advantage of that extra computing power, and then maybe bring it back to the previous size so that I don't continue paying more for what I don't need. So this is a very cool thing, the fact that you're able to scale up immediately without having to stop any existing queries, without having to suffer from any downtime whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
We create sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Omar. And so basically what you can see here is you can easily create everything. You can easily go create your database. You can easily load your data. You see as well, Omar's going to run a query, and then we're going to show you a very cool feature called time travel. You can see how you can easily start querying your data, how you can create your compute clusters. That's something that that's very useful in scenarios nowadays. We have a lot of customers who now don't want to wait for hardware. They don't want to wait for a purchase order to be signed, and they also don't want to wait for resources to be provisioned, because these things tend to take time. Basically, with Snowflake, you sign, you get your account, you create your database, you load your data, you create your compute warehouses so it can run your queries, you create your worksheets, and you start writing your SQL scripts. And as you've seen, because we have the ability to determine data type, we were able to determine CSVs. You can easily load JSONs, Parquet files, and so on, structured, unstructured data. These will definitely require bigger sessions, of course, because there are lots of details there. But as you can see here, from a 20 to 30-minute session, we were able to create a lot of things from scratch. So, Omar, let's show them how a few queries look like, so that we can see the familiarity between the querying part and then something that will make administrators breathe.
Will do. So earlier I showed how we can create a warehouse from the GUI. Just as easily, I can create a warehouse via the, okay, hang on. Easily, I can just create a warehouse via the script. In this case, I created a large one. Okay, the min was below the max. That's why. Look the other way around. Hang on. I'm going to do it that way. So just like that, I created a multi-clustered warehouse. So now, if you look over here, I can see that now I'm using this particular new warehouse. So again, it's just to show that how you can go around and use different warehouses if you have them set up for different purposes. Okay. Again, we're gonna look at all those trip data, and we'll have more fun. Some of the chart data, and then we'll look at some hourly statistics. It's just provisioning. It's just taking a few seconds. Maybe I shouldn't have clustered it.
Well, by the time this runs, you can run the other query as using another warehouse.
Yeah, let's just switch it away. Okay. So here we're looking at hourly statistics on city bike usage, right? So we're looking at date, number of trips, the average duration. Again, we can easily filter out as needed. We can play around with the GUI and all of that. This particular query, if you notice, took one second, right? So because we just ran this query, it's actually stored now. The result of this query is stored in our metadata cache. If we run the same query within the next 24 hours, and if the data set hasn't changed, we actually use that cache again. So it's going to run a lot faster. If you notice now, last time it took 1 second, this time it took 38 milliseconds. Now, 1 second to 38 milliseconds is amazing, but imagine again on a much bigger query, something that would take minutes on end or hours. In this case, imagine how much saving you to have if somebody else, another DBA, another data analyst is able wanting to run the same data set, the same query, and data set hasn't changed. You're getting the result immediate without wasting precious time.
And this is actually a
So I want to find out.
with BI,
This is
with the reports, when you have thousands of users accessing reports, you run the first query once, and then the reports, when they rerun again, they just make use of the cache. So that definitely saves a lot of time.
mhm. Let's say I want to find out when the busiest month is. We find out, okay, I'm just doing an ascending trip. It's a very easy select. It's June. But maybe later on, we'll see, I want to correlate this with weather to see if this is weather related. So again, I'm just showing up more queries over here. What if we wanted to create a temporary clone of production? A lot of times with that, when you want to set up a testing environment or a temporary development environment, usually it's a subset of production because of just how much cost and management it takes, right? In this case, I can clone the whole of production as a clone, as you can see over here, without taking any additional space. So basically what you end up with is, so the development team can end up with, is a clone copy of the data. It's a zero copy clone, okay? And then any manipulations, any modifications of the data are happening independently of production. And anything that's happening in production won't affect this temporary data, okay? So just as easily, I can play around now with this particular development environment. We're going to look at a quick example of semi-structured data. So I'm going to create a database called weather. We're already using this. I'm going to change my database and schema to weather in public. And we're going to create a table with a variant column name or column type, data type, which is basically how we're going to be storing the semi-structured data. So we're creating another stage. This time it's called New York City weather. Let's have a quick look at it to see what's inside of it. In this case, another 36 rows of weather data. We're going to copy it in. Okay, that took only 2 seconds. Let's have a look at it. As you can see, this is just what you expect to see in a JSON file or JSON file, and it's fairly it's semi-structured. If I click on it, you can see we can start understanding from the variant column type what that data looks like, right? Now I can create a view based on that, and just like that, if I look at that new view that I just created, this is my semi-structured data. Look at how fast that was. So semi-structured data didn't have to worry about transformation or anything of the sort. We can immediately have a view of that semi-structured data in a nice, easy way. Alongside my structured data, we can do joins and all of that. Frederick, more about that?
Actually, I'm excited to see this next query because you're going to be joining structured and unstructured.
Yes. So remember my trips data before that we just created? That was structured data from CSV. And the weather data we just imported right now is JSON. So I'm just going to select those and join them together. And just like that, I've done a certain particular correlation. And remember, we said that the largest number of trips were happening in June. But now I have a better correlation. Now I understand that the majority of my trips are happening when the weather condition is clear, which makes sense. When it's good weather, we all want to be out there biking. Now, how often has this happened? I drop a table, I drop a column, or I modify a certain data set, and then I need to go back to backup and recovery to try and recover it. So I just dropped it. Oops, I've lost my weather data. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, it's gone. Very easily. I don't have to go to the DBA. I don't have to go back to my tapes. I don't have to do any kind of backup and recovery and wait for days on end or get any approvals. I can just undrop it, and right there and there, I have access to my data back. Think about how much time and effort this is saving, the fact that you can basically undrop a table or revert back to a certain point in time due to time travel. I'm going to show you another example of time travel. Yes, please.
Oh, yeah. Just an additional point there. We were just talking, remember, Omar, with a colleague of ours who was just telling us that he spent 17 days once trying to recover data from a backup.
Yes. Yeah,
anyways, so it was horrible. Anyway, so the last thing we're going to be showing you today is this last bit in time travel. So you can see that it's not just about dropping tables and databases. We take it a step further as well.
Yeah, a cool feature with time travel is exactly, it's not just recovery, but we can recover, let's say, back to a certain point in time. But you can also do historical analysis. So if I wanted to compare my data today to what it looked like a week or two ago, that's all possible. So historical analysis is also made more possible by time travel. But yeah, back to this point in terms of just, let's say, messing up the database, right? So let's say I update my trips table, but I set everything in terms of station name to oops. Okay, so clearly a mistake. And if I look at now my table, I see that, okay, there's no more station names. It's just one station name called Oops with all the rides in it. And those are the 61 million rides that we had discussed earlier. So there's a number of ways to basically revert. You can revert back to a point in time. You can do it before a certain point in time or before a certain command was run. So in this case, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to set my query ID, which we saw from the query history earlier. You can also find that out there. But in this case, I'm looking up the query ID to find out when the last update happened. Okay, so that's been set. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to create that table again just before that update of oops happened, right? So that's just happened. And as you can see right now, we'll run that same query and yay, I have my data back. Again, imagine without this this time travel feature having to revert back to traditional ways of doing backup and recovery, how much time you'd lose and how much data you might lose in the process. I think that's about it. One last thing I'd like to show is a marketplace feature. So if I go to the marketplace, and just to show you how easy it is to subscribe to new data sets, you can play around with this. Some require subscription, some are free. So maybe I wanted to look at COVID data. I like this from Star Schema. It's free. So actually, no, whatever. Yeah, okay, fine. Yes. So in this case, I'm getting it for free. It's ready to query. There's no storage cost to me. I'm going to call it Zero to Snowflake shared data. You can choose which roles are going to have access to that. In this case, let's keep it public. Here we go. Oh, yes, of course. Need to be account admin. Actually, I want to do two things. I want to show you how to share and how to get a share. So in this case, we're getting the shared data. And just like that, I have access to this COVID data that I can play around with. Not just that, they also give you some pre-queries that you can run to play around with. So in this case, if I find it a warehouse, we run this, and just like that, I'm running queries to find out, for example, the number of cases per country. And this is real time. That's the cool thing about data sharing and about the marketplace, is that when you're subscribing to a data view, essentially you're getting a real-time view, always up to date. You don't have to worry about the data becoming stale or anything like that. And look at just how immediate all of this is. If I wanted to share my data itself, so we go to private sharing. This is the last thing we're showing. Let's say create a Polish specified consumers. No, not this one. Sorry, one sec. Publish to marketplace. Nah, it's the last one. Sorry, this has changed a little bit. Here we go. So I'm going to select the data. I'm going to go to my CD bike. I'm just going to share my trips folder. And just like that, I'm going to give it a certain, I can select which accounts in which region are going to have access to this. And easy as that, you can have it available to others.
Actually,
and that's it in a nutshell.
You managed to fit an entire demo in 2 minutes. So that's excellent. Yeah, the data collaboration.
That's my talent. And then I'm done with it. I'm going to drop everything and we're done.
So to summarize, you're most welcome.
Yes.
You're most welcome. It was a pleasure being with you today. All right. Have an excellent day,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.